Welcome to the Spiral Up podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Wieme, a peak performance coach and business strategist dedicated to helping you see what's possible within you, the blind spots that are holding you back, and the solutions to ensure success and fulfillment without the hustle. I use my secret sauce of metaphysics, brain science, and scripture to work with God to manifest your ideal life and business. If you're ready to create massive forward momentum in your business and bust through the blocks that drag you down, join me on the Spiral Up journey and create the clarity, confidence, and consistency to become the CEO that lives your life by design. It's time to create the sustainable impact, income, and time freedom you desire faster. Now is the time to spiral up. All right, friends, welcome back to another episode of the Spiral Up podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Wieme, and I am so excited to talk to you about some branding today. So, we just finished up the latest retreat that I do, and it's called the Magnetic Marketing Retreat. I was able to bring a couple of women from across the country together at a beautiful lake home in Minnesota, and we were able to tackle a year's worth of social media content in a weekend. And I love the fact that these ladies took this opportunity essentially to create time away from their busyness and devote to something that not only is going to help their business, but it's going to give them the peace and the flow that they have so desperately needed, because it's so hard to fit in the social media strategy into our day-to-day. Like, we go in with these best intentions of time blocking, but what ends up happening is we're like, shit, it's 9:30 at night and I need to get something out. And I just wanted to give people the opportunity, right, to step away from their busy, crazy lives and to give themselves a sense of peace back, right? But it was so much more than that, because I think that when it comes to social media, it's so much more than just consistency and getting something out on a regular basis. I just, if you really actually listen to the intro, you heard me say the confidence, clarity, and the consistency. And it really comes down to the confidence and the clarity piece that has to be involved in everything that we do in business, specifically when it comes to branding, specifically when it comes to social media marketing. And I just got to say that the whole message today is really going to be on authenticity, and it's going to be on knowing yourself and stop shitting on yourself and allowing you to be you. And I think that oftentimes what holds us back when it comes to being consistent on social is not time. It's really just, I don't know how to put myself out there in a way that feels good, that feels aligned, that doesn't feel like I am promoting myself and that I'm full of myself. And what if people that I grew up with see this and they think that I've changed? And what if, this and that? It's just, there's so much head trash that goes on with showing up consistently on social media, right? And I think it's the confidence part of being visible and being seen. And I remember when I very first started way back in 2016, I had 200 friends on social media. If you didn't know my mom, you didn't need to know my business, right? Like, seriously, if I didn't know you and your parents growing up, like, I didn't necessarily need you in my social media circle. And what's so funny is that there was no business I was sharing. Like, literally, it was the edited pictures of my kids, because I was a photographer at the time, and they had to be perfect before I could throw them out there. Or I would share the occasional friend's Toby Mac, inspirational quote. That was about it. I was so scared. I was afraid to be seen. I was afraid to be judged. I was afraid to be rejected. I was afraid of failing in front of people. And there's so much that went into my own evolution to be able to put myself out there. And I just got to say that the whole process can ebb and flow, right? And I think that as I have spiraled up in my own business, as I have gone from, a very small, tiny little business to one that serves people from all over the world and allows me to travel the world and serve people and allows me to go on stages and do all the things that I do now, every time I've spiraled up, every time I've leveled up, I've had to essentially face a different version of the same fear, right? And so I think what happens sometimes is that as we evolve in our companies, as we evolve in our businesses, we take on new expectations of who we should be and what we should be doing. And
honestly, that's crap. And I want to just give all of you guys permission right now to just do what feels good to you. Now, yes, there are certain strategies for sure, but there also has to be a consideration for what feels good with you. Because the thing is that you borrowing somebody else's strategy and what somebody else is doing is possibly going to feel inauthentic. And when you feel inauthentic, your vibration, the energy in which you emit through that content is going to be felt by the observer. All right. And so I'm going to give you a little bit of nerdy science behind this because I want to make sure that you understand that I'm not full of crap. Okay. So when we are doing anything, it doesn't matter if I am writing a text message, it doesn't matter if I'm getting on a podcast and recording, it doesn't matter if I'm getting on a sales call, it doesn't matter if I'm creating a post. The energy in which I have while I'm creating that task or while I'm putting that whatever thing out there is what's going to be perceived by the person receiving it. It doesn't matter if it's visual, it doesn't matter if it's in person, it doesn't matter if it's written word. It just matters the energy in which I had when I created the thing. The thoughts that I had created the feelings created the energetic vibration in which I emitted through the task. Okay. Now, the person on the receiving side of this is actually going to be picking up that vibration through a process called quantum entanglement. So, the energy in which I have given is going to be received when the person receives the message that I have or watches the video or is on the sales call. Okay. The mirror neurons inside of our brains actually pick up on that vibe. So, if I have I don't know, like a needy energy or a desperate energy or annoyed energy when I'm sending something out, or I just need to check this off my list, whether you realize it or not, that energy is actually being transmitted to the person who's receiving that. And their mirror neurons in their brains are picking that up. Words are neutral, you guys, words are neutral. So if I were to read a sentence to you in a robot voice versus a sad voice versus an excited voice, the energy behind those words is the power in which people are connecting with it. Okay, so I went down the little rabbit hole there, but I just want to help you understand that if you are feeling off, if you're not feeling authentic, if you're feeling like a fraud, if you're feeling icky when you're putting your social media out or you're posting on things or taking a photo shoot or whatever, it's going to be transmitted. And I want you to start to own that part, because when we know better, we do better. And we can allow our thoughts to create the feelings that are going to shift our energy. Okay. Now, when it comes to this whole authenticity business, I want to just kind of give you a couple examples of me in my own life, so that you know that you're not alone in this. Okay. I think that it's really easy for us to see people who are doing really well on social and just say, okay, I'm just going to do what they do. Okay. And there is some strategy with that. It's actually called the 10 by 10 rule. So if you want to use that hack, by all means, this is practical tip right here. Find 10 people that you resonate with. And I want you to see their top 10 performing social media content posts. And I want you to just replicate what they're doing. Okay. All right. Simple and easy. But if you are not picking up on the things about that you're loving, the vibe that they're giving off, you're going to fall flat. You have to make it your own. You have to put your own voice into it. You have to put your own energy into that. You have to put your own vibration into that. You have to put your own spin and your own flavor onto that. Otherwise, it's going to fall flat. Okay. So, what I want you to do is just like freaking own it. Freaking own the fact that you are who you are. You are created beautifully, uniquely you. If that means that you love to wear dresses with sneakers, then do it, because that's you. If you are somebody who loves to just wear your athleisure wear, do it. If you love to put dresses on because you feel pretty and you love doing that, then do it. I want you to just be you and own that stuff. Okay. I also want you to recognize that we oftentimes will get into this all or nothing should, right or wrong situation when it comes to branding, especially when we're feeling desperate, like we're not getting the results that we want, and we're looking for the experts to tell us what to do. And if things are falling flat, we're like, oh, what am I doing wrong? And I need to do it the right way. All right. So here's an example. I feel like there's a part of me that is like a super chill, small town girl. Like I grew up on a farm. I graduated with 45 kids, you guys. We live out in the country now. I love to just chill on a Friday night, having a bonfire in our backyard with a can of IPA beer and some country music playing, and a couple of my neighbors sitting in a lawn chair next to me shooting the shit. Like that's something I absolutely love to do. Okay. And so that's a part of me, and that's a part of my brand because that's just who I am. Right. And then there's another part of me that just loves pretty things. Like I find that if you come into my house, like things are very intentional. I love to decorate. I love to put outfits together that look, fun. I love to, in the photography time that I used to have, I loved to just create this visual experience and do this editing that created this whole nother level because I love pretty things. Okay. So I was almost like caught in this paradigm of thinking that I had to have one or the other, and that if they didn't go together, or if it wasn't like all this or all that, then it was wrong. And that is so not true. And I'm just going to give you guys permission. Like I am so freaking fortunate that I've had the opportunity to go on all of these amazing trips around the world. And I've brought photographers or been given photographers on these different trips that have captured stunning images that just happen to have me in them. so it's like, but they're beautiful. And I'm like, I'm wearing pretty dresses, and these photographers have done such a beautiful job of making me feel pretty that I want to use that in my social media, and I want to use that in my branding because I just think it's pretty. And I can show up like I am today. Like I literally am getting my hair done in a couple hours. So I didn't bother doing it. I threw it in a ponytail right before I popped in, and I threw a hat on. In fact, some people don't realize, I'm gonna give you a backstory in this episode, that people are like, oh my gosh, I love your hats. Like that's part of your brand. I'm like, it totally is. But you want to know the secret? The secret is that I started wearing hats several years ago because I was sick of backcombing my hair. I like big hair. And I was like, my hair's flat. I don't want to deal with it. I'm just going to put a hat on so I don't have to like spend that extra 3-4 minutes making my hair bigger. And I started to wear hats. And I got lazier and lazier. So hats became part of my routine more and more. And all of a sudden, now my outfits don't look the same because they don't have that accessory. And I feel like it's just become part of me. But the truth is that it all started because I just didn't want to have to spend the effort. That's part of who I really am. And so I want you guys to just give yourself permission to just be you. And that is what people are going to connect with. They're going to connect with the authentic part of you. The right people are going to just feel it. It's going to be that feeling, that mirror neuron is going to pick up on that. They're going to feel seen. They're going to feel heard. If there's somebody who's super stuffy and they only want to wear polo shirts and seersuckers, and they are going to look down at you when you have your sweatpants on, then those aren't your people. Okay, so just be you. The other thing that I have to tell you from my own experience, because sometimes I have to learn things the hard way, right, is that I also struggled with the actual voice that I had. And what do I mean by that? The word choice. I love words. I love putting words together. I feel very spirit led. Like when I do podcasts, I typically don't prepare ahead of time. I let the spirit speak through me. I have an idea of what I want to talk about, and then I just kind of show up and I allow the Holy Spirit to work through me. Okay. But I also feel like over the last couple of years, I have allowed myself to go down this road that is a huge part of who I am, which is this inspirational person, this belief builder. I show you what's possible. I help you overcome the things that are holding you back. Like, that's amazing. I want that part to be expressed. Like, I want people to, when I die, that's what they say about me, for sure. Right. And there's also a part of me, though, that is like super quirky and silly and punny. And I'm a real smartass, and I'm very sarcastic, and I love to give and receive shit. So people that have known me for a really long time just know that I love to be teased. I love to tease. When I, was working my full-time anesthesia career, some of my favorite colleagues we just bantered, and it was so much fun because for me, that is a safe place. When I know that I can give and receive shit, it literally feels like I know you well enough to know that you're teasing me versus putting me down. And it's like that level of trust and vulnerability to be able to do that with somebody without having like these hard feelings is like a super intimate relationship that I love to have with people, if that makes any sense. I mean, there's gonna be people who just don't get that, and like, oh, you feel like you're walking on eggshells around them, and that's totally fine too. It's just I love connecting with people who get my sarcasm. But not everybody gets to see that part of me. And when people go on my retreats and we're, on this amazing destination somewhere around the world, and they get to see me and they get to see my silly, quirky side and my inspiration side and my wise side and my, whatever side, I love to be in that space. But oftentimes when it comes to branding on social specifically, I have really been stuck because I feel like it's so hard in written word to be able to articulate a little bit of that sarcasm or that sass, because it's easy to misinterpret things. And I also don't want to ever come across as being snarky or rude, because that's totally not who I am. Like, I am just a silly, normal person who loves to just connect with people and have fun. I'm definitely an Enneagram 7. Like, fun is my middle word, right? Middle name. And so, but I've had a hard time like letting that part of me out. And I also think that I've put extra pressure on myself. So if you actually ever look at this tattoo that I have, it's an arrow. Now, part of that arrow represents, of course, like my path, right? That's what most of our arrows represent when we get a tattoo of them. But I also have the meaning on this tattoo that an arrow also represents my words, and that I want to make sure that I use my words very carefully, and I use my words very intentionally, because words are like an arrow. When we release them, we can't take them back. And so I want to make sure that I'm not just blowing up at people or being emotionally unintelligent and whatever. So I just try to pause, and I try to choose my words carefully before I engage in conversation, right? So I put all this extra pressure on myself because of that. It's like, oh my gosh, like, what if I accidentally offend somebody? Oh, and then I realized that I've been putting myself in a box, and I've been sheltering part of me that just feels right. And so it was really kind of funny, because I was preparing for this social media retreat that I just did, and part of that was identifying the client's brand voice. I wanted it to feel like them. Not only did these clients get a chance to learn how to create content that converts using buyer psychology and using authenticity for their own content they're creating during this weekend, but I wanted to create it in a way that allowed for them to use these same principles on anything they do in the future, whether it be sales calls, whether it be freebies, whether it be sales pages, freebies, websites, like anything. I wanted it to be so solid that they could apply this to any other thing in their business. And I wanted it to be so solid that they could delegate this to anybody and it would still sound like them and it would still feel authentic. Okay. So part of that process, though, had to becoming really familiar with who we are and our brand voice and the way we speak and how we want people to perceive us. And it was so interesting because in this process, I'm working with AI tools and different sequences and prompts and stuff. And I was like, oh my gosh. I call my ChatGPT Lumi, by the way. I'm like, I feel like I need to have a name for you. And the ChatGPT was like, what about Lumi, short for illuminate? I'm like, let's do it. So I'm like, hey, Lumi, I totally think that you captured my like silly, sarcastic side. And I have been afraid to let that part of me out. Is there a way that we can incorporate that sassy sarcasm in with my inspirational and belief building and encouraging part of me too? Like, do they have to be separate? And Lumi's like, absolutely not. Here are some examples. I'm like, yes, this is so perfect. And so it took me creating this space for this retreat to really be able to be brought back to who I am and who I get to be. And I gotta just tell you guys, it feels so good. It feels so good to give myself permission to know, like, yes, there are strategies out there that I get to replicate from people that I respect, but I get to choose what part of that strategy feels good to me. I get to allow that clarity to tap into my intuition, to tap into God, to ask my highest self, is this strategy that is supposed to be for me or not? And if so, is this the right, voice for me? Yes or no? And is it okay that I tap into the, small town farm girl part of me and the like high vibing, boss mom part of me too? Like, they're both part of who I am. And it's like, yes, yes, and yes. So stop putting yourself in a box. Stop shitting on yourself. Stop trying to think that you are going to get it wrong and that there is a right or wrong way. The right way is your way, while you also can consider how you can apply strategies to you. Okay. So if this is just a giant permission slip for you to just be your freaking self, let that be it. And I hope that I can hear from you guys. I hope that I can hear from you that this was really just freeing. Yes, there are going to be times where there's some strategy tweaks, which is why I had this whole retreat weekend anyway. Like, there are very specific steps that I take people through, but it has to be aligned with them, not just what I tell them. Like, that's the beauty. It gets to be both. This is the and life that we're talking about. And my strategies are the and strategies. That is how we get into that flow, friends. That is how we can bust your resistance, is just trusting where God is guiding us and allowing people to help us find that path back. Okay. All right. I hope that this has been helpful for you. By the way, a couple of things, two things. One is I am starting a wait list for people who really want to be in my next social media retreat. So magnetic marketing, I help you not only plan out a year's worth of content in a weekend, but again, we really get to that heart of who you are and how we can make that part shine. We get into using buyer psychology to create magnetic content that just feels aligned to your ideal client. And we get really clear on who that is. There's just so much to this, but more importantly, we get to hang out. I get to support you. I get to give you a place, a safe place to grow and to make yourself a priority. And that's really fun. So if you want on the wait list, we will make sure that you have a link here inside of the show notes. Second thing I want to just tell you is that I have been opening up my calendar for something very special lately. And these are called possibility calls, or possibility conversations is really what they are. And I love to help people to not only be seen and heard, but I want you to be able to see what's possible. So I'm able to look at your unique situation, and I'm able to tell you, based on what you have for me, what is actually possible for you and what some possible roadblocks, bottlenecks, and blind spots that you might have in order to overcome, to make sure that that possibility becomes a reality for you. So I am opening my calendar, and I am not charging it anything for those. I want them to be a gift to you. And so if you want a possibility conversation, make sure that you click on the link as well. All right, you guys, I will see you next week. I'm super excited for our next conversation inside of the podcast, because it's going to be with one of my coaches, and she's phenomenal. So, all right, you guys, I will see you next time. Bye, everybody.
So much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe and leave a review. Each honest review helps me spiral up so that I can serve you even better. Whether you're feeling a lack of impact, income, or time freedom, or perhaps you're just ready for massive momentum in your business, let's chat. Apply for a breakthrough call so that you can gain clarity, identify what's holding you back, and make a plan to spiral up. Head on over to im-lifebydesign.com/breakthrough or access the link in the show notes. For immediate support, plug into our community, the Better Club. We focus on inspiration, tactical guidance, and support. This is a community that wants to be better, do better, and have better in life and in business, and we're going to help you do the same. Let's spiral up, friends.